Hey everyone, welcome back to the AI in Action podcast. I'm your host, Mazor, Kario, product design and AI expert, and the creator of Online Leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI. And today we're tackling a critical issue that is at the heart of the AI revolution: privacy. Joining us is a PhD student in computer science and AI with a keen focus on the ethical implications of AI. We'll be discussing the challenges of balancing data privacy with the advancements in AI, the concerns surrounding data collection and use, and what individuals can do to protect their privacy in data-driven world. Hi, Konstantinos. I'm
Hello,
so
Adi.
happy that you're here. Konstantinos Kechagias is a PhD student, researcher in privacy in AI, and a Google developer expert in AI. Kechagias, that's the name, right?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Kechagias. Yeah, no, I pronounce it well. So now we can start. How do AI systems collect and use personal data? And what are some of the potential privacy risks involving that?
First of all, hi, Adi. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. It is a
Sure,
pleasure
I'm happy
to be
that you're
here
here.
and discuss with you. All the systems, not only the AI, collect data regarding different things. They can collect data about tracking how you guide through the internet or how you use an application, or personalized data in order to give you better content. So all the systems, all most of them, tries to track some of your guide. Privacy is really important because in that system you need to protect your data. You need to protect what the systems collect, and especially protect their identity. So they mainly use the data in order to make the system better. So they really interested in aggregated data and not in personalized data most of the time. Privacy is important to protect the individual. So first of all, you don't want somebody to know something regarding you. So this is the first concern. You want to
Sure.
protect your individual attributes. And then, of course, you need to handle your data. But this is the first concern. You don't want to expose something regarding your own personal data. And it's really important when we talk. All the data are important, but when we are talking about health data or energy data or personal data, privacy it's one of the most important things there.
Right. I think that most people are aware that the data is collected and and they are not aware of what could be done with this data. So they know that Amazon knows what I bought and Google knows where I went and what are my photos and what is my emails, and WhatsApp is going to Facebook and the Facebooks know what I'm liking and everything. So they know that. But what could be done with it is like they're not aware of the implications. So tell us like a few things that is worrying.
Yes, one main example is the Netflix released competition, I think in 2006, and released some data about what you watched in their platform. So what have done is that they anonymize the dataset and they release it. So, they thought that without your name or some personal information, nobody can re-identify the original individuals. But it's an attack called data leakage and other kind of attacks. So what some attackers, they were researchers, so they didn't use it for bad things, but they could. And if it's health data, you can think how they can be used. But let's focus on that. They used other open datasets, and they are able to re-identify more than 95% of the individuals on the datasets. Yes, so this is a huge breach of privacy. The company thinks that by anonymizing the data, it will be safe, but it was not. So
Wow.
you cannot be sure if you don't have some guarantees, and better guarantees are mathematical guarantees. So a technique that maybe offers mathematical guarantees is differential privacy. It's another technique for make the data private.
So I want to understand. So there was a contest. I think it was a Kaggle contest. They wanted to make their automation of suggestion better, right? So they had this Kaggle contest to create this model, AI model, in order to make the suggestion better. And they released an anonymized data about who's watching what without the names. And then some of the researchers wanted to show that if you're going to other data sources, you could try to re-identify who is watching what. And it's not that complex in order to find this matching, right?
Exactly.
We could just I'm just saying it, you could just imagine what would happen if the data was about your medical files and not about what you watch on Netflix.
Exactly. It will be a huge privacy breach. The competition was on predicting the accuracy on, I think, find the recommendation algorithm that beat the Netflix algorithm. During that time, it has a 10% accuracy. And it had also a prize of $1 million.
Yeah, I remember this contest.
Yes. To make it better. So they released data from, I think, 50,000 individuals, over 100 million individual movie ratings from 500,000 users, and they basically anonymized the data set. So the attackers, utilizing techniques like data leakages, or data linkage, like getting other data sets and trying to re-identify, they managed to identify more than 95% of the individuals. So they didn't just identify that maybe an aggregate, so or average. They identify individuals, so they know everyone, the ratings that they have add to the movies. So as you said, imagine identifying individuals about health information.
Yeah. And do you think so? Most people know that in social media, in Google, you have someone collecting your data and doing whatever they want. So why right now in AI era, it's more
Exactly, and this pointed out. I think OpenAI model, ChatGPT, had a leakage of privacy information. If you ask 100 times to repeat the same frames like company, after some time, it starts to leak information from the training set. So they start to leak information of individuals that used to train the model. Because the model did not train utilizing any privacy methods, or we don't know how they train the model basically. And they start leak information regarding individuals, phone numbers, addresses, and this kind of stuff, which is a huge privacy leak. And it's pointed out, I think, from Google DeepMind team recently.
So that means that if let's say I'm an insurance company and I want the model to work with my data, with my client's information, I would give the model the information about insurance and medical conditions for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fully protected. So my privacy as the client of this insurance company could be vulnerable to some kind of leakage.
Exactly. If you don't apply any methodology for privacy, and especially if you don't apply any methodology that give privacy guarantees, which is mathematical regarding privacy, you don't know if the model maybe leak any information that used for training. That information can be phone numbers, can be names, can be whatever can you think. Because training the model using a training data set and then release the model for inference does not guarantee that the model will not release private information. It may release, it may not, but without using formal privacy guarantees, you don't have formal guarantees about the privacy. So this is a major problem.
Yeah, and another thing that we need to point out that ChatGPT and all the generative AI models are kind of young. So let's say like 2-3 years more or less. And because it's so young, I think we don't know yet what are the vulnerabilities, what are the risks, and how attackers will manipulate it. So it's like we're just starting a race of arms with both sides, the attackers and the model creators, in order to find a way to do it. But it's only the beginning, right?
Yes, exactly. And something else that is really important, and it's towards the open science, is it's the called open models. When you have the model architectures and the model training set publicly available, in order to everyone know how this model is trained. That can used by researchers and professors and people in the industry, in order to highlight any risk, not only in privacy, but in general, on how models are created. So when we have open models and we have the data set that is trained, it's easier for us to find out these potential risks.
Yeah. So what you're saying, that in open source, you as researchers, you have the option to check out what's going on with security and privacy and ethical concerns and so forth. And when it's closed for inspection, like what you have in closed models like OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini from Google, you cannot know. It's like a black box, and you don't really know what is the privacy guidelines there.
Yes, and even if they release the architect of the model, still you don't know the data used to train the model. So you need both in order to
Mm.
be able to reproduce and find out potential risks. Because even if you know the architecture, if you don't know the training, again, you cannot guarantee anything about the privacy.
And do you think that there is a way to demand some kind of level of privacy from these big, huge model LLMs creators?
Yes, I think they have already started working into that. They have several competition in that point. Recently, in one of the best journals and conference in the world called NeurIPS, they had a competition called machine and learning. How a model can forget something with some guarantees that is trained. So imagine
Mm.
that you consent to use your data in order to train the model, and then you say, I don't want longer to use my data. So now there is no way to make the model forget. So this is another problem.
Yeah.
You need either to retrain the model from the start, which is very expensive, both computing intensive, and it costs you money. And there is no way to make unlearn. So this
Wow.
is another issue of privacy. How okay, I make a whole mechanism to make consent around my data, but then I say I am not consenting anymore to use my data. So you have used this data to train a model. How this model will be forgot? This is
Yeah.
yes,
I never thought about it, because like our brain, we cannot unlearn or unthink about
yes,
something that we learned and we remember, so it stays there. But for the machine, you could learn on a specific set of data, and then you could say, okay, now you have your model balanced and everything is understood, but just delete the original data sets that you used.
yes. This is an open problem. There is not a clear solution towards that, and I think it's something that it's really great and really interesting, because you may stop your consent in using the data, but what about the models that train using your data? Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
that's interesting, because usually when because it's just the beginning, most companies who start with AI, they would start with teaching and training the model. This is what they would do. But
yes,
if we're taking it into the future, a few like months, years, decades from now on, maybe they don't want their data to be vulnerable to any kind of attacks. So how do we delete, actually, like unlearn things from the model? It's very hard.
yes. It's hard, and it's not a straightforward process. It's an open research subject, and I think it's something that we will see great solutions from several providers.
Do we know other stories about real attackers taking data from these models right now, or they're just getting ready and not there yet?
Yes, there are several attacks. Netflix is one of the most characteristic attacks. Another attack is the one that we said about OpenAI, which released data from their training set, which is showcase that even LLMs that are huge models cannot guarantee that the training sets will not be exploited if an attacker try to expose data about the training set.
Mhm.
And I think there is many other examples that validate that.
Yeah. So as I see, the attackers are trying and learning, and the creator of the models and all the guidelines for these models are working on the other side. But it's like in virus and antivirus, it's just the same. So there is some kind of attack, and then you need to find a way to block this attack. So
Yes,
it's just the beginning of this.
yes. One technique that is something that is used, but it has some disadvantages because it's a trade-off between privacy and accuracy. It's called differential privacy, which is give mathematical guarantees regarding the privacy. So, in short and very simplified, is like you need to respond with a positive or negative response on a question. So let's have a health question called if you smoke, and you can answer either yes or no. But before honestly respond, you flip a coin. If it heads, then you respond honestly. If it tail, then you flip the coin again. And if it head, you respond yes. If it's tail, you respond no. So this adds some randomness on the result. So it adds some noise. So if somebody looks on the output of the study, they cannot see and they cannot know if you are honestly respond or it's due to randomness.
Yeah.
So if you think this protects individuals, even if somebody looks on the outputs, so it protects your privacy. But if you want to use this dataset for aggregate, so let's say how many percentage are smoking in a country, because the noise is added randomly and uniform, then the noise cancel out, so the aggregates will be correct. So it protects individuals, but in the aggregates are correct. So if you have especially aggregates, I think it's a great technique because it gives you the deniability through the randomness.
Yeah. So it means that nobody would know exactly what I know, but if they go to the statistics view of creating a model based on this data, it will be accurate for
Yes,
statistics,
yes, that's the main
right?
idea. It has a lot of problems and a lot of challenges, but the main idea is this. And these techniques with some, I give you the randomized example. That's how the mechanism is called. But there is also other mechanisms that can be used for model training or large language model training. It can be used to aggregate statistics. It can be used for several things. It's a great area, but it has also the disadvantage. So if you add a lot of noise, you will destroy the accuracy. So you need
Right.
to be careful.
Yeah. So it's like anonymizing it with more like statistical tricks in order for you to, on the one side, not know exactly what I said as a person. On the other side, if you want to use large data sets, it will not damage the results of
Yes,
the training.
it's basically a randomization in your response. So the attacker is not sure if you respond honestly or if you use the coin. So
Yeah.
they don't know if you actually smoke. It might be because you respond honestly, but it might be because the first coin flip was tail. And
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah, so they don't really know what happens here.
Yeah. So how can we ensure that AI systems are designed and developed in a way that respects user privacy? So it's like legislation. How do we make sure that our data is protected?
Yes, I don't think there is an answer in that. I think there is an open science research problem. There are several techniques. Differential privacy is one technique that gives some mathematical guarantees, but it has some trade offs. Other things that are in place to protect data privacy and data ownership is GDPR. which is in Europe, and trying to protect how your data are used. And I think so. The most important thing is not release or try not to release sensitive information online, because
Yeah.
I don't think there is a way to protect your data 100%. So
Yeah. But like me as a person, it's not, I'm not a company releasing all the my customers data, but me as a person, I say, okay, I hope that nobody would find all this data either in Google or in social media, and I know attack me because he understands that I'm in this position or in this location and interested in this product. So I hope that nobody would manipulate me as a person. But when I'm a company, if I want to utilize AI, and probably I should, because this is the
yes,
direction all my competitors are going, I cannot say I can release only partial data or parts of the data. And GDPR, as you said, anonymizing is not enough in some cases.
no, yes.
So it's not really protecting the data. So it's like, it's so risky. On the other side, how can I stay and not do that?
Yes, this is a really nice question, and it does not have a straightforward answer. You have to try to use privacy methods in order to um, ensure that the individuals that you use in order to train your model are safe. One example that is really helpful in our society is in health domain, pharmaceutical and hospitals. In rare diseases, it's hard to find out if a drug has the has any improvement on an individual health. So because in rare diseases, one hospital does not have a lot of individuals to run any study, you need to use aggregate data from many hospitals. But as we said, health data are really sensitive. One technique is to use privacy, like differential privacy, and other techniques like secure multi-party computation or federated learning, in order to ensure that the data are used for aggregate, let's say, 10% of individual tries and who get the drug went better, or 20% or 50%. And this will give you the ability to do studies across different hospitals without releasing any personal information regarding the individual. So I think it's really important to find out the best method on how to use AI, because in most cases you can use AI, and be very clear with your audience on how the data will be used and what measures have you taken in order to ensure their privacy. And this is really important. So you need to be straightforward and very honest, and know the best model that or the best technique that you need to use for the specific use case. So if you have the use case for the hospital, some techniques that you can use is SMPC, secure
Yeah.
multi-party computation, or federated learning, combined with differential privacy.
Yeah. But now it says that I need to know how to do it.
Yes, you need an expert.
That's what I'm saying. It's not part of the model. It's
No,
not. It's not that I take a model and it's taking this into consideration.
no, it's there are very open there are many open models out there that can be used in order to build really great things in the field of AI, but you really need to know how to use it in a production environment when you have other things that you need to consider, like privacy guarantees. So
Yeah.
yes, so you need to adjust the models and how it will be used.
Yeah. So I'm saying that this is a specific expertise within AI to understand what is privacy, why is privacy in some kind of vulnerability within these models, and try to avoid all the misuses that could be. And one more thing that comes to my mind is maybe synthetic data in some cases. So could you tell us a bit about that, and what's wrong with using synthetic data? What's a good use case, and could it solve some of the cases for this privacy demands?
Yes, exactly. Synthetic data generation is basically when you generate data that does not exist. So you use real data in order to generate data. sometimes even the generated data can be very, very, very close to the real data. So again, you have privacy concerns. So I think recently, again, a model, I don't remember the company, but it was one of the greatest company. I don't remember if it was OpenAI or Google, but I think it's one of two. Released an image which is generated synthetically. So it wasn't a real image, but it was an image generated by a model. But because the model have learned using real images, the image that generated was very, very, very close to one from the training set. So again, was a privacy breach or a privacy concern because it's a really close image to one from the training set, to one real image. So when we are talking about synthetic dataset, we can generate synthetic dataset with privacy guarantees and without privacy guarantees again. So when
So-
we okay,
So
yes.
so it wouldn't really help. So if they created a result that is supposed to be somewhere in the middle between all of the data, that all the images in that case that they created, and in the end one of the results was very, very similar to one of the data sets instances. So it means that still you could get to even if you're taking this saying, okay, we'll have this layer of synthetic data which is not real, it's just based on the real data. In that case, meaning that still you could breach the data, although you're doing it.
Yes, exactly. So you can use synthetic dataset using privacy guarantees.
So
And
you need
again,
to make sure that the end result doesn't really resemble any of the original data set instances.
yes, exactly. It's again a trade-off. You cannot say for sure it will not, but with a probability it will not. So it's basically statistics again. So you said like I give you 95% probability that these data are not close to the original, but again you have a 5%.
So what I'm saying that synthetic data would not solve anything in that
No,
respect,
no.
or it's like another layer that could help.
Synthetic data are great, but you need to use it correctly. So you need to add privacy when you generate them in order to be sure that the data will be used and they will not release the information about it. But before going there, we can say that this generated data will not used only for privacy. You can use generated data in order to augment the dataset. So imagine that you have a small dataset and you want to have more records. You can generate a dataset in order to expand your original data. So there maybe or maybe not want to use differential privacy guarantees. You may want, you may not. So it depends from what you want to do. If you want to release a synthetic dataset for health records, let's say, which is sensitive, there yes, you need to be considered to use privacy guarantees. But if you just want to generate a synthetic dataset about an image of a tree, then you may not want to add any noise or any privacy guarantee. So it depends from the use case.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense. So another thing that comes to my mind is if you add conditions and calculations and automations to the model, would it make the model more slow, or the performance would be hurt if you have these privacy
Yes,
guardrails?
yes, yes, exactly. It's the trade-off of privacy. So if you add noise in order to have privacy, the accuracy drops. So it's a trade-off. So you need to be very carefully design the mechanism and need to know what you want to achieve. So how important is the privacy, how much privacy you want, and which is the trade-off with your accuracy, because you may add too much noise, nobody will understand anything, but this model, it's not useful anymore.
Yeah, I understand. So like it's like any other addition that you have to the model. So on one side you want it to be accurate, on the other side you want to have some kind of guardrails regarding bias and ethical concerns and privacy concerns and safety concerns and security and so forth, and this could damage the efficiency of the model itself.
Exactly. The model that will not say anything about the individual, will be a model that responds always the same. Whatever the input will be, it will respond always, let's say, false. But this model will be yes,
But you cannot use it.
yes, but you can. This will have 100% privacy, but zero accuracy. So
I see.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a balance.
yes.
How can we balance and benefits of AI with the need to safeguard individual privacy? So we want to use it on the one side. On the other side, as individuals, you cannot unlearn something, and you cannot say, I want to opt out of some of the features using these models right now, at least. So what can we do?
What we can do is basically consider what we need from the model, and specify privacy needs and utility needs. So we need the model for something. We need to do a job with a model, and we need to safeguard individuals' privacy. So it's really important to specify what we need to do with the model, and then if that is feasible. If it is, then we will go ahead and make a mechanism to achieve our specific needs. So we cannot have everything. So we need to make some adjustments, and to make some to say that we will compromise privacy in sometimes over utility, or the opposite. But we cannot have 100 private model and 100 accuracy model. So we need to be prepared that as soon as we use techniques like that enhance privacy, in most of the times it will affect accuracy. So we will need to specify our needs.
Yeah. And you, as a person using these models, ChatGPT and others, do you make sure that you don't say anything private, or you're more concerned?
I think as all of us trying not to expose many personal information, there is also local models that you can run. Most of the companies also now have open models like Gemma from Google,
Yeah.
and Gemma 2 now it's a really good model, and try to keep my private data safe. So there are several techniques that can be used in order to keep your data safe, and like RAG or other techniques. So utilizing open models, which is publicly available, and how it used. I think it's a great way to start and better privacy guarantees.
Yeah. So what you're thinking about is how to use the model as a researcher, or as a developer, or someone who's building based on the model itself, and then you could have a special RAG retrieval system for the data, and then it's more protected, and you use it wisely, and maybe even more efficiently in that case. But me as a person using ChatGPT, like most people are not building models. I cannot opt out of anything. What I tell ChatGPT, he learns from it, right? And if let's say I have a business question to think with ChatGPT, and I'm telling him about my audience, about my plans, about what's the business prospect that we're thinking about, like everything. I cannot tell him, you know what, I forget about it. Maybe my competitors might know about it, whatever.
Some models give some guarantees that they will not use your data for training. It depends on the data agreement that you make.
Really, I never saw that. Like where maybe in open source, but in Claude or in Gemini, do you have this option?
To be honest, this is the pages that the most people are bored to read across. It's like
Nobody reads it.
yes, so I am not sure. It's more than it's more in lawyer domain and law, and not so much in developers.
Yeah.
So from a software engineering standpoint, it can be done. You can tell the model not use the private data in that chat for training.
Yeah.
I don't know
Makes
if,
sense.
if it's something that is
I would just, take a guess that you cannot do it because
Yeah.
you get it sometimes for free. Sometimes you need to pay not big price like $20, and then they're using the data and I can give you an example from graphic design AI tools that when you're using Adobe Firefly, you cannot opt out.
Oh,
And so it means that everything that you create, all the visuals or the designs that you're using, would be consumed by their AI tools. And same goes for Figma, but in Figma you have that option to opt out. So it's saying like you cannot use my designer to train your model, and I think it makes sense because designers work very hard on their designs, or lawyers work very hard on their cases, or songwriters work very hard on the music, right? And then comes this model, learns everything, and maybe they will not be needed afterwards.
yes, yes. This is a major concern. To be honest, as a Google developer expert, I know a bit better Google models. So I think the new Gemini Pro model in the pay-as-you-go plan, if I am sure, I am not sure, but probably it will be, give you the option your data not to use to
Mm-hmm.
train their products, but it's in the top tier, the tier that you pay,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot use it for free. So you need to pay, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to select that do not use my data to improve the product.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes,
I see. What are your hopes for the future of AI and privacy, and what are your recommendations for navigating this complex
yes.
landscape?
So I think that machine learning will be an area that we will see a lot of papers and a lot of research there, because it's really important, and especially in Europe and with GDPR, where you can start by consenting, and then you can say that I am not consenting anymore to use my data. So data provenance and data, and keep a path of the data, though. So my data are there and they used for that model, and then when I stop consenting in my data, then you have to go again the whole tree and unlearn what you have learned using my data. So this kind of work will be important. Also, some things like blockchain can be used there in order to track um, how the data set are used in an immutable way, because blockchain, the ledger basically of the blockchain is immutable. So I think it will be, we could see great things there that are working into that. Also, in the field of privacy, techniques that give mathematical guarantees like differential privacy or other techniques that might be founded, it will be really important. And of course, in the field of synthetic data, I think also there we will see great stuff, because generating synthetic data, as soon as you have the model and you know that the model gives some guarantees, then you can generate as many as synthetic data as you want. So you can generate from 1 row to 1 million rows without exposing the privacy. So I think it will be a great way, and we will see great stuff there.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And what is your number one tip for entrepreneurs or developers today?
I think, especially in the software engineer, they need to stay updated, because it keeps changing. Everything is changed. A few years ago, if we said what we can do now with LLMs or transformers, it was something that was out of discussion. Most of people will say that we cannot do that, and now it's really really easy to make it. So stay updated and be persistent. I think both are very critical. You need to be really really persistent, and if you have an idea, follow up and follow the leads.
Yeah. I think that in general, we have a new world where you need to be updated all the time, especially if you're in tech,
Yes.
developer, entrepreneur, whatever. You need to know all the time because it's moving very, very fast. And you see in the AI field that each day you have new tools, new products, new releases, new models all the time.
Exactly, yes. And I think now because LLMs and Transformer are used widely and not only in the software engineering, but it will be used or it will be start using it across several industries. It will be really important the people to learn how to use because as Google, you cannot software engineering without googling or without find useful things in internet. So again, if you don't know how to use LLMs, again you will have the same problem. You need to know how to use it, and this will make you shine because everything can change. So you can now ask a model, and it can give you headlines on how to do something. They can give you code. Even if you are like a hotel, it can tell you how to organize your hotel. So it's crucial to know how to use these tools. So
Sure.
yes, and as you said, what you will expose to these tools because you need to be specific and you need to be careful also.
Sure, sure. And where could people hear more about your work, your PhD, and contact you?
They can find me in my LinkedIn. I have a newsletter in safeguarding data privacy with more than 300 people following, and I post several articles there. And of course, in Google Developer Expert community newsletters.
Sure, sure. And they can find you on LinkedIn, I guess, is the best
Yes,
place
yes.
to do so. Sure. So, Konstantinos, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, Andy. I think we had a great discussion, and looking forward to discuss
Yeah.
with you again.
Sure. I hope that we'll meet in one of the Google events for the GDEs. I'm sure we'll find time to
Definitely.
meet. So thank you again for being here. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. I invite you to sign up to my new online leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI, designed to equip leaders with the skills to build successful generative AI products. And I'll see you next week with another innovative, insightful talk. See ya.
Thank you.